Recording.
Just on now.
Okay, so hi everyone and welcome to the session this afternoon. So today's event is the Humanities Get Inspired for the Fair event. It's great to see so many of you here. My name is Sophie Collar. I'm one of the careers consultants for the Humanities team. And we're kicking off the session today with myself and my colleague Gareth. I don't know if you'd like to introduce yourself, Gareth.
Hi everyone, so I'm Gareth Rowe and I'm a careers consultant as well as part of the Humanities team.
Brilliant. And you'll have the opportunity to meet some of the other consultants and advisors from our team later on in the day. So we've got quite a lot to fit into this first session, and if you have any questions as we're going along, the best thing really is to pop those into the chat and we'll try and answer those as we go along. So here's the outline for today. So myself and Gareth are doing the opening introduction, and then we're going to go into a workshop called Confident, Prepared and Self-Aware. We're going to do our best to finish 5 minutes early so that you can grab a quick drink or have a screen break before the carousels start. And then you've got two different carousels to choose from at 2 o'clock. So carousel A is going to cover creative and cultural, education, charities and NGOs, government and policy and healthcare. And Gareth will be putting the link in the chat there if you want to go to that sector snapshot with carousel. And sector snapshot carousel B will be covering business and finance, law, communications and media, environment and sustainability, and tech for non-tech. And again, that link's going into the chat. We'll put the links in the chat again at the end so that you know where to go to. You do have the opportunity then at 3 o'clock to go to the other carousel so that you can get an overview of all 10 sectors by the end of the afternoon if you wish, but it's free choice, up to you which order you do it in. And the snapshots are exactly that. It's important to say that they will be a very high level overview of those sectors. So if you find out about a sector that you're interested in, we definitely recommend that you build on that with your own research. But hopefully it will give you a taste of what that sector is about, the need to knows, and it will give you an idea of which exhibitors to target at the fairs next week. So speaking of those, so this is the fair that we're helping you to prepare for, hopefully today. So the Autumn Careers Fair is taking place next week, next Tuesday and Wednesday on campus at Whitworth Hall between 11 and 4. And you can register your place on Career Connect or via the QR code there. And when you go on, you'll be able to see which exhibitors there are on which day. There are different exhibitors on the different days, so do try and make it across to both, or at least do your research to see which day you want to prioritise first of all. And I just want to draw your attention to the link on this page and just reassure you that in terms of equality, diversity and inclusion, we are here to support you however you identify, because we know that not all students have the same experience of accessing career support or recruitment processes. So in terms of the first session today, so the idea of this session is that to begin with, you can gain some insights into how your degree can give you many of the skills that employers are actually looking for. And then from there, you can think a little bit more about yourself as an individual. So what makes you unique? What are your strengths and motivations? And then we're going to spend a little bit of time giving you our top tips for how to prepare for the Careers Fair. And hopefully you'll feel quite confident about what to say, what kind of questions to ask on the day. It is a little bit of an interactive session, so we'd really like you to join in. Gareth will explain a little bit more about that soon, but we do hope that you get a lot from it. So these are the session outlines, and we'll be spending about 20 minutes on each segment. So before we go any further, please can you make sure that you register for the event? So there's the bit.ly link in the chat that Gareth's put on there, or you can follow the QR code through. And if you just put Get Inspired as the name of the event, and that way we can make sure that we send you any resources, we can send you the recording of today and any handouts that we share in the chat as well. And it also helps us to find out how we can improve on events in the future. So please do make sure that you've done that, even if you signed up for the session in advance. Okay, so now thinking about what can you offer as a humanities student, so the skills that you get from your degree, but also where those skills can take you, because the two are quite interchangeable and interlinked. So when I'm asked what can I do with a humanities degree, this is one of the images that quite often comes to mind for me. As a humanities student, you have got so many different options. There's a lot of choice out there. And if you weren't already aware, about 70% of the graduate opportunities that are available don't ask for a particular degree discipline. So that might mean that you've got even more choice than you even realised. And it is a really, really positive thing to have choice. It's a great position to be in. But we realise that that can be quite overwhelming as well. And something that we come across quite a lot in careers is this idea of choice paralysis, where it can feel like there's just so many different options out there that you don't really know where to start. So what can help with choice paralysis? Well, one thing that helps is definitely being aware of your options and being aware of yourself as well, and understanding what kind of career you might be interested in. So we hope to touch a little bit on that as well today. It also helps to think that there's not just one perfect job that's out there for you. So there's not one job that is just that perfect fit, but actually there are tens, hundreds, if not more, jobs that you could potentially do and could do very, very well. So try not to just kind of think of making that one big decision that's for the rest of your life. And it's also true to say that most of our graduates now embark on what we'd call a non-linear career journey. So that's where, rather than just deciding on one career, you might actually try out different things. You might change roles or even change sectors throughout the course of your career. So do try to take that pressure off yourself about making that one big choice upon graduation. It might be interesting to know that the What Do Graduates Do report from Prospects highlighted that these are the sectors that most humanities students go into, graduates. So in this order: education, business and finance, retail, and media and publishing. Further study is also very popular with humanities graduates, according to this report. And we also find that humanities graduates are quite often drawn to creative industries, communications, and roles within the third and public sector as well. But as I've just said, you're absolutely not confined to those roles and to those sectors. So what I'd like to do first of all is, if I could just ask you to fill in this poll. I just want to get an idea of whether you feel that you already have some of the skills that employers are looking for. So if you feel that you don't have any of the skills that employers are looking for, you give yourself a number 1. If you think that you have all or most of those skills, that would be number 5, and 2, 3, 4, somewhere in the middle of those. So I'll just give you a moment to complete that, and then I'll share the results. Okay, so quite a few of you have filled that in now. So I will just share those results, and hopefully you'll be able to see those on the screen. So what we can see is that there's a couple of you that really don't feel that you've got many of those skills at the moment. The vast majority of you are somewhere right in the middle. Perhaps you feel that you've got some, but not all the skills that employers are looking for. Okay, so thank you for that. That's really useful to gauge where you're all up to. So what I'm going to do now in the next few slides is have a look at a couple of quotations and resources that have underpinned what you can bring as a humanities student, as a humanities graduate, what you can bring to the labour market in terms of professional skills. And it is really important to say at this point that we wouldn't recommend that you just rely on your degree. It's a really good idea to build experience in other ways, and to think about how you can make the most of your time at university. But at the same time, I think it's important that you do understand that the degree that you're doing will give you skills that are valued by employers. So the British Academy Right Skills Report outlined this idea of a shape discipline. So what is a SHAPE discipline? So it's social science, humanities, arts, for people and for the economy. So I think that covers most of the disciplines that we deliver in the humanities faculty of the university. And this idea of a SHAPE discipline, a SHAPE student, has also been explored a little bit further by one of our own academics here, Dr. Jackie Carter, in her recent publication there. And the skills of a SHAPE graduate are outlined here. So these are just some of the skills that SHAPE graduates have in common. So firstly, communication skills. So you're all developing your communication skills. So verbal communication, written communication, your ability to persuade, your analytical skills and your adaptability, your emotional intelligence, your ability to work independently of your own volition and be self-motivated in that sense, also known as a growth mindset. So that ability to learn by yourself, and of course, creativity. And what this means is that as a humanities graduate, as we've touched upon, you'll have flexible career choices and there's more opportunity for you to undergo portfolio careers. And that means that there's access for you to move across sectors and that you might be embarking on employment with less rigid options. There's also a really nice quote here from Professor A.C. Grayling, who's one of the founders for the New College of Humanities. And he says that to think with clarity, acuity and versatility, to acquire understanding with wide scope, to combine a breadth of knowledge with an ability to be precise and penetrating, these are the outcomes of an advanced education in the humanities. Okay, so you can think about yourself and you can link this back to yourself. Perhaps think about the modules that you've done, perhaps have a look at My Manchester, where those modules pull out which skills you've got, and just be aware that these are the skills, the kinds of skills that as a humanities graduate you can offer. And this is underpinned again by this research here, which is from the Insight report from the World Economic Forum, Future of Jobs. And again, what you'll see is that a lot of those skills that we've just looked at are repeated here. So these are the global skills that are in demand by employers in 2022. And those two in blue there are skills that have moved up the list, so are becoming more and more sought after by employers. And if you have a look at that list, hopefully you'll see that a lot of those skills are ones that you are building, that you're developing as part of your degree. But again, if there are any that you feel are gaps for you, then that's something we can help you with. So do perhaps come and talk to us at the careers desk at the careers fair, or we'll be talking about how you can contact us more at the end of this presentation. And it's really interesting, there's a quote here from two of Microsoft's top CEOs, and they mentioned this in Business Insider. So whatever sector you go into, it will be closely tied to tech in the future. And what they said is that all of these SHAPE disciplines can teach critical, philosophical and ethics-based skills, and those will be instrumental in the development and management of AI solutions. So what they're saying is that you can actually complement the AI solutions of the future, or you might find employment which complements that rather than being substituted by it, and that there's that need for a more complex human understanding that AI can't yet achieve. And if you are interested in the future landscape, what's happening in the graduate labour market and the trends, the predictions for the medium term, you might want to have a look on Prospects Illuminate. It's a good website that gives regular labour market intelligence updates. But a lot of those future trends are tied into artificial intelligence. So in a nutshell, we'll need graduates that can operate to that higher level, that have that higher skill set, and that can analyze and that can problem solve as issues and global lifestyles become more complex. So that importance, that growth mindset, that lifelong learning and upskilling is more and more important as the AI develops. And there will be a decreased demand for skills relating to administration, finance, customer support, because those are the kinds of jobs and the kinds of tasks which are increasingly automated. So if you are interested in tech and your role in tech in the future, or perhaps going into a tech sector, we do have a tech for non-tech workshop in Carousel B, which will give you the need to knows of that sector. So definitely look out for that one as well. Okay, so that's just having a look at some of the skills that you have from your degrees, that you'll be developing from your humanities degrees. So if I can ask you to have a go at doing that poll again. And hopefully you can all see that on the screen there, just to gauge if there's any difference there. Hopefully it's helped you to understand how you can articulate the skills that you have to the employers next week. Okay, most of you have filled that in now. We'll just give it a little bit longer. Okay, thanks for doing that. I'll just share the results. So you can see now that most of you are more around the number 4 now. So hopefully it has helped you feel a little bit more confident that you do have quite a lot of the skills that employers are looking for. As we've mentioned, you might need to build on those more with extracurricular activities and positions of responsibility as well. So that's my part finished now. I am going to hand over to my colleague Gareth, and he'll be looking a little bit more about what you can offer in terms of yourself as an individual, your strengths and your motivators. Okay.
Brilliant, thank you, Sophie. Right, I'll just share my screen now then, everyone. That'll just be one moment. So hopefully everyone can see the slides okay there. Right, brilliant. So we've examined the skill set of humanities or SHAPE students in general, and now it's time to bring it back to you really and think about what you as an individual can offer, and also consider what your strengths are and what kind of work you enjoy, because this goes hand in hand with building on your self-awareness and applying what you learn to the labour market. The sector snapshots coming up after this session are an ideal time to map what you learn onto the different options. Now, this quote from one of our graduates, I think, sums up the importance of developing your self-awareness perfectly, really. So if you have a better idea of your strengths and weaknesses, you can use that information to approach situations with more certainty. And that in turn will feed into confidence that will allow you to take on challenges that might be outside your comfort zone. It's from that space outside your comfort zone that you'll develop, grow, and at times really surprise yourself with what you can achieve. Now, to develop self-awareness, you are going to need to take some time to reflect on your strengths, your challenges, your motivations, and your values. And only once you have a full grasp of this, really, can you begin to analyze, explore, and filter the many opportunities out there to the ones that are a really good fit for you. Now, to help you with this, we're going to conduct an interactive self-reflective exercise now. So please have to hand a piece of paper and a pen or an open Word document, whatever works for you, just to make some notes for yourself. And although we really appreciate that this is an online session, it's very easy just to sit back and listen, I would really urge you to participate and make notes, as you'll definitely get the most out of this session if you're actively involved. And as you've already given your time attending today, let's try and get as much out as possible out of our time together. So here's our first task then. So for our first task, what I'd like you to do, please, is write down an experience that you've had that you really enjoyed in the past. So this is to help you to think about your strengths. So it could be a task or a project that you were involved in that you really enjoyed. Perhaps you didn't want to stop doing it and felt really energized when doing it. You perhaps realized that you were really good at this task and felt confident in what you were achieving. The task could be part of your studies, perhaps part of an extracurricular role in a society or as a student rep, or it could be from a volunteering or work role outside of university. So lots of different options there. Now, I'll be quiet to give you a minute to also to have a think about this and jot something down, but do feel free to share any experiences in the chat if you want to as well. But I'll go quiet now just to give you a moment to jot things down. I can't see anything coming through on my screen in the chat, Sophie. Is there anything coming through for you at all, or?
Not around this exercise, no.
No problem, that's fine. It's fine. So that's no problem at all if people are just choosing just to jot them down rather than share them in the chat. That's absolutely fine. But what we'll do in that case then is we'll carry on and we'll move on to having a little think about motivation. So please do keep a note of the experience that you've jotted down that you enjoyed. Keep that handy, as you'll need to refer back to that in a moment. But as I said, we're going to think about motivations, and motivations for what you've done in the past can really help you to identify the sectors or the job roles you might be interested in going forward. So have a think, for example, what motivated you to choose your degree subject? What motivated you to take on a particular voluntary or paid role? What motivates you now when you have to get up for a 9 a.m. lecture or a weekend shift at work, for example? What causes do you care about? So have a really good think about what makes you tick in your degree, in your work life, in your personal life too, as this will give you some important clues about the careers that might suit you going forward. Now, with that in mind then, let's go to our second task. So have a look at what you've written down or typed down for the experience that you've enjoyed. And then remembering that time, think about what motivated you to begin that experience or task, or what motivated you during the experience itself. If you're not sure, think about what's motivating you right now. Why are you here listening to us? Again, I'll be quiet again for a moment, just to give you a chance to make some notes. Do feel free to pop them in the chat if you want to as well. But as I say, I'll give you a moment now to make some notes.
Hi Gareth, just to say that we did have one comment through from someone to say that they've really enjoyed their management simulation project in their undergraduate course.
Oh, great.
From task one.
That's good to know, at least. So hopefully everyone's had a moment now just to note down your motivations. And that's really, really important with when reflecting back to those experiences. And so what we'd like you to do to think now is about the strengths that you've developed during the experience that you've been reflected on. Now, before we go any further, we need to have a think about what strengths are really, because without that, obviously, you can't really give a clear answer. Well, strengths, put simply, really are things that you're not just good at, but things that you also find motivating and energizing when you do them. So the strength could be an aspect of your personality, such as being curious or authentic. It could be how you think about things. So, for example, perhaps you're able to focus on small details to ensure a high degree of accuracy in your work. Perhaps you're good at adhering to processes, or you're creative and you're striving to produce original work, maybe. Now, if you'd like some inspiration on strengths, I think Sophie was